it gives me super great pleasure to introduce you to Linda. Linda is an experienced consultant working with executive teams. I can attest to it because that's where I met Linda. It was in Thomson Reuters, and she has actually also helped to identify talent. Yes, I'm one of them that Linda identified. So I'm eternally grateful to her. And she is, you know, one day she came to, when we first met, she looked at me and she said, Eileen, there's something about you. All right. There's something about you. And those words just stuck with me, you know, stayed with me for a long, long time. And it just, you know, it just made me feel so confident, right? And then she was the one who put in the leadership training program and everything else. So she's good with clients. She has also helped leaders to grow in their role across various industries. All right. So she's not just here as a speaker. I think she will be a very good go-to person as well for if you find her style refreshing, which you will see shortly. And she has worked for companies, you know, Merck, and across all these different industries, which I've mentioned. Maybe some of the names here are a little familiar to some of you. And because she has worked as an internal consultant, as an executive coach, she knows that at the end of the day, you know, and let me tell you, she's like a walking dictionary. She can just rattle off theories, framework, quotes, just like that. I know she didn't expect this, but she's really like a walking library. She's got tons of down to earth tactics that you can also apply. Um, and of course, she's a leadership coach at NTU in a media and tech company, as well as fast moving consumer good organization as well. So today, she's going to share with us for the first time, she's going to share with us transitions and how you can make the make sense of your career changes. All right. You are in for a treat. So I'm going to stop share and ask Linda to get ready. If you're ready to share, take it away with us and show us what we can do. So Linda is, okay, I hope everybody can see what she's sharing on screen. This is kind of how Linda goes about her coaching, which is super, super refreshing, I can assure you. I'll shut up, pass the floor to her.
Thanks, Eileen. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's such a pleasure to just hang out with Eileen. You know, she's just such a ball of energy. Yeah, yeah, certainly. I just, you know, listening to Kenny and Jasmine, I also felt like I learned a lot just listening to your experiences. Yeah, so it's so good to be with all of you. First of all, maybe I'll just use Eileen 3Es and explain a little bit about my background. So actually, I started in a technical career. So I was a technical trainer because my background was in chemical process technology. So it's like I did a technical diploma. And then I realized that halfway through, it's like, hey, you know, as I went out to the workforce, the technical route is not really my interest. And so when I was at AT&T, I became interested in learning. And then I actually make a switch to human resources. And because of that, I actually went on to do a master's in HRM. And then about 4 years ago, I actually completed qualification as a professional coach. So, you know, I think unlike Kenny, I pretty much stuck on to what I really like to do. So I have about 30 years experience in learning, organization, and kind of leadership development. And I must say that I have been so blessed to work with really good companies like AT&T, Merck, Reuters, where I met Eileen, companies like Diageo and Jabil. And as a result of that, I actually had quite really good exposure in terms of cross-cultural, having worked in global companies and also across different industries. And it's really quite interesting. Just, you know, financial services is so different from manufacturing, is so different from pharmaceuticals. So I think those experiences was really helpful. Yeah. And I think my biggest major career transition was really starting my own practice, which is LTC consulting 2 years ago. So as a coach, I've actually been really privileged to work with my clients in their transition. And I hope that during this session, I can share some of their stories with you to encourage you and to inspire you as you go through your own transitions. So for today's talk, I wanted to borrow a model that Eileen say I know all these kind of models are very conceptual. So what she's telling me, hey, keep it practical. Yeah, so there's this really great model by William Bridges called, he wrote a book called Transitions. He's passed away since, but really it's like a classic, managing transitions. But I find the framework is so simple and really helps people to think about life changes. Because if you think about it, you know, we actually often talk about living in a VUCA world, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, right? And just now Jasmine was saying, yeah, expect the unexpected. And we're often bombarded with change. So change is external, whether it's a job or no job, different roles, work hours. But transition is really internal. You know, it's really about you know, the psychological reorientation that people actually have to go through before, as they go through the changes. Yeah. So his model actually uses 3 phases to make sense of those transition. So what I'm going to do is really to explain briefly each of these phases, and then would like to take a poll and understand where you, the audience, is at. Okay. So the first phase, right, endings, right? Transition starts with endings, and it's really about people identifying what they are losing and learn how to manage those losses. So the ending can be due to own decisions or decision, you know, forced upon them. In the case of careers, it can be moving to a new role or being made redundant. And in this phase, you think about what you want to let go of. Like just now, Kenny talked about one of the things is about ego, right? Letting go of the ego, and then keeping what is really important for you. Yeah. So that's the first phase of endings. And once you are able to kind of let go, you are ready to move on to the next step, which is the neutral zone. And this is the in-between time where the old is gone and the new hasn't really fully formed yet. In some ways, it's like kind of being, in this space of possibilities. And that's the very core of the transition process. And you know, you can feel like you're in flux and maybe sometimes confused and perhaps distressed at times. Yeah. And this is a time when you may start think about your future, looking at possibilities. Yeah. So the neutral zone is the seedbed for new beginnings. Yeah. And new beginnings, actually, the third phase is really about, you know, you actually begin afresh, you know, with new understanding, with values and attitudes, new attitudes. And it's like you have a brand new, almost like reinvention of yourself, you know, release of energy into a new direction, and perhaps even a new identity. So one of the things William Bridges said, it's like well-managed transitions allow people to establish new roles or adventures, you know, with an understanding of their purpose, their role, and how to contribute and participate most effectively. Yeah. So, you know, in each of the phase, there's no like clean cut lines, you know, sometimes it's blurred, you know. So it's like, you know, it could be like ending to neutral to new beginnings. So I'm going to ask Eileen to take a poll to see, hey, where is all of us at? Yeah, whether it's ending, in between ending or neutral, between neutral and new beginning, or you're in a new beginning already. Okay, so Eileen, would you want to take a poll? Where you are at?
Yep, it's on screen now, and it's actively being voted on. Woo!
Hey.
It's a very engaged crowd.
Yeah, cool.
The chat, you know, and all. You guys are really engaged. Cool. We've got like more than half of the crowd has already voted. So we've crossed 70% mark. All right. There's a lot of you here in this group. Do share with us. So question is, which phase of your career transition are you at now? All right, are you at now? So Linda shared about the endings, between endings and neutral, neutral to new beginning, and then you've got new beginning, right? So basically 5 different stages. The nice spread. And very interesting trend here. Yep, cool. Okay,
Yeah, really
wow,
nice spread.
nice. Okay, any more? Any more? Last no, last call, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think I'll end the poll. Yes, there's a good 85% of you have already, 88% now of you have voted.
Okay.
Let me just share the result, even though you see Linda scribing it, because that's how she coaches, all right? As you talk, she'll end up with a nice little visual map for you. And that's really her style. I really like her style. Okay, shut up, Eileen. Over to
Right.
you.
So it looks like majority. So good. So let's talk a little bit about the different phases. I think not a lot of you are kind of in this phase, so maybe I'll just go really quick. Yeah. So one of the things about endings is it's really key. It's really about letting go, and maybe I'll just share a story about one of my client. You know, I call him Client A, who's a financial controller. When he came for coaching, he was let go of because of some conflicts, for standing up to some ethical issues. And he asked for career coaching as he was looking for a new job. So if you look at the 3 phases, you would think that he might be in the neutral zone, between ending and new beginning. But because he was really bitter about being asked to leave, and he couldn't let go of the feelings of that relationship. He just couldn't let go. So even though he had several job interviews, he couldn't land the job. He couldn't land on a job. So he has a qualification and experience, but his bitterness actually seeps into the interviews. So actually during coaching, we actually work through his feelings and helping him to kind of reframe, his experience from being a victim of an maybe unethical boss to something positive, to celebrate his strength, the person that he is, one who stands up for his value and willing to put his neck on the line. So part of the work is really about letting go and let him know himself, and so that he can project his best self during the interviews. And I think that when he started to do that, he started to get job offers, and in fact he had several job offers as a result. Yeah, so I think one of the things it's really important to notice is really about what stories are you telling yourself. Like for this guy, Client A, his story was always about being victimized, and I think once he was able to shift to the wonderful value that he stood for, being ethical and being in integrity, I think that's where he was successful. Yeah. So I think when we are in this ending mode, just kind of notice like, yeah, what to keep, what to let go of, and the key is like in terms of keeping, I remember 2 years ago, I ran a career workshop with a group of oil and gas engineers, thanks to Eileen's introduction to this group of engineers. And actually, oil and gas, the industry just went south. And actually they found themselves out of job after like more than 20 years of loyal service. It was really, really tough for this group. And they needed to change industry. And in the coaching session, it was really about looking at this phase and letting go of the good times, perhaps, but then to look at what they can keep, keeping the skills that are portable, regardless of industry. The skills that is about communication at different levels, being able to develop teams, talent development, project management, problem solving. So, it's like once they are able to realize that, hey, all is not lost, I can keep all this, and how can I put it to my next role? Yeah, so it's really, really cool to work with this group of engineers. And actually, we're still in touch, after 2 years. And it's so good to see that they actually move on. They managed to find new roles. And I'm really, really so happy for them.
And
Yeah.
they were very thankful of you, I know. I remember, yes.
Yeah, it was really a really cool bunch of engineers to hang out with. One of my favorite people, engineers. Yeah. So ending, which is like the first phase, and the second phase is the neutral zone. Actually, I don't really quite like to call it neutral, but because I feel like it's a zone of possibilities, a zone of potential, you know. And I think I remembered my son's mentor, you know, gave him this advice when he was in his teens. Now my son is like doing his masters, you know, and I know for sure he still remember this career advice. You know, Uncle Drew will tell him, you know, first you need to know what your talent is, yeah, what your passion is, and then you need to know your needs, what you need and who needs you. It's like the mommy needs him. So it's like some really practical as well. But you know, I think he was able to relate. In his teens, he know that he was very passionate about football, but he know he has no talent for football. You know, and he was really able to kind of get realistic view about himself. So as a career coach, I find that one of the things that is really quite interesting is that when I speak to my coaches, they are often really articulate, very clear about what they don't like, you know. But sometimes you ask them, especially those who have been in the job for a long time, and they're like, what do you really like? What are you really passionate about? And it draws a blank. You know, they know what they don't like, but they don't really know what they like. I think, and I think that's a big challenge for quite a number of people kind of in this neutral zone. And oftentimes I give people homework to notice, you know, like the key is really about noticing yourself. Like, you know, I give them to see, hey, what their reactions are, their emotion when they are doing something, like what gives them a buzz, a true enjoyment when they're doing certain activities, because that actually is a clue for your passion. Yeah. And I think quite a number of clears, and just now the two earlier speakers, you know, Jasmine and this Kenny talked about knowing your strength, you know, knowing your skills and where your talent lies. And I think that's really quite key as well. So, and I think talking about being able to articulate. Oops.
Yeah, I think it's not.
My what went to sleep?
Yeah, it went on the screen what? It just go into a sleep mode. Yes, you're right. So if you can cast.
Went to sleep mode? Okay, because I wasn't playing with it. Okay, let me share again.
So guys, there are a lot of questions in Menti. Go vote for the questions so that we see the more popular questions coming up right on top. All right. As Linda is sharing her iPad. Cool. It's out now.
Okay.
Yep. All good.
So it's like really getting to know yourself. And I think I maybe just do a short story of somebody who maybe about a month ago came for some coaching advice, an MBA student, and he was talking about, you know, he found that when he go for interviews, he hasn't been successful because he feels that he lacked confidence. You know, as a result, he wasn't able to kind of ace the interview. And you know, as we were talking, and we one of the things I challenged him was, I asked him, where does confidence come from? Oh, he says confidence come from, you know, when you have the knowledge, you have the skills, and then you can have confidence. And I think one of the things I was kind of discussing with him and helping him to open his mind and challenge his belief that actually confidence can be that, and confidence is also about knowing yourself. You know, when you know yourself, when you are comfortable with your own skin, you know, like I'm not a know-it-all, but you know, here's my strength, here are my weaknesses, and I think one of the things, as you know, being in talent management, is like a key attribute of a talent is this self-awareness. That's really, really important. You know, so it's like, hey, I know that because every strength casts a shadow. So if you're really good in something, you won't be good at something else. So I think like that actually, as you know, he was with SMU, he just finished his MBA, and he actually completed a personality profile, but he never looked at it. So we looked at the profile, you know, and as a result, he was able to use that and to say, okay, here's who I am. Here's some of the things that I'm perhaps not so good at, but hey, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, so I think as a result of that challenge to open his mind about where does confidence come from, and I think he was able to do much better in his interviews, and it was really good because he was interviewing with really big names, you know, like Amazon, with Apple, with Google. So I think that's why he was really nervous, and it was so good. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, he talked about yeah, he managed to land a job with them. Yeah, so it's so good to know that yeah, when people are comfortable with themselves and not having to kind of put on a mask to say, okay, I need to be something else in order to get this job. Yeah, then somehow, you know, with an experienced interviewer, you won't come across as authentic, and it will, you know, it will seep out somehow. Yeah. So here's the thing: just know what you're passionate about, what your talent are. Find out what your needs are. You know, like just now, I really like what Kenny says. Sometimes, you know, taking a lower job. You know, if you need to put food on the table, that's the practical need, because who needs you? And then you need to say, hey, I will take a couple of jobs, perhaps maybe 1 or 2 levels down. Yeah. So I think that's really quite key. And then once you figure that out, then you think about, hey, do I need additional qualification? Like I really admire Eileen, who went off and did a master's in organizational psychology, because that was her interest and her passion, right? Something really quite different. And I think today's papers, there was this lady who actually gave, I think she stopped her secondary school education because she went to become a mom. And then she actually did a nursing degree, 30 years old, a diploma in nursing, you know, and now she's a nurse. So a willingness and courage to kind of step out and pursue interests, pursue your passion. So if that's where you need to be, then, you know, go for it, you know, the education or the experience and the exposure. Yeah. So that's the piece about the second phase, about the neutral zone. So it's really an exciting zone. So use this space to say, you know, how you can get connected with people, get some exposure, network. I saw a couple of questions about how can I get mentors and so on. And one of the things I remember reading this book, he talks about, don't just think about mentor like somebody, you know, probably like a little bit, you know, more senior than you and all this. So the idea is get multiple mentors. You know, like one of my mentors is my niece, who's so good with phone, you know, like apps. So I'm this old auntie, like with really super duper apps. Like every time my friends get so impressed, you know, it's like, oh, how come you know all these apps, right? So she's my mentors for apps. So it's like try to find multiple mentors. Who can be your mentor? And you'll be surprised, your niece, your nephew also can be your mentors. Okay. All right. Next, new beginnings. Some of you, you found something that you like, and you're actually embarking on a really exciting journey. And one of the things when I was working in my last role was I was an internal coach, and many times when leaders actually shift, move roles, or they move location, you know, I actually get a chance to spend time with them as they transition. And we want to make sure those transitions are successful, because it's a big investment on the company. Like you promote to a VP and if you fail, you know, so in things like this, right? So I often, you know, one of the first chart I show them is this chart, you know. So I think we're all very familiar with negative change. When things are, you know, not so good, we have Sarah, right? Shock, you know, reject, you know, and so on. So this is actually when positive change happened. And I like to use an example of like marriage, right? All of us like, yes, you know, I finally got married, or I have a child, you know, you have uninformed optimism. You know, finally a child came, then you realize, oh my goodness, I'm missing out on my sleep, you know, diapers, right? And then suddenly you're hit with informed pessimism. And suddenly, you know, and as you go and you get used to it, or you talk about it, you know, get some support from the folks around you, then you start to move to hopeful realism. So in the same way with a new role, you know, you will surely come in with that uninformed optimism, and it will hit you informed pessimism. You must say, oh, why did I take this job? I should have taken the other job, you know, and things like this. Yeah. And be ready for it. So one of the strategies often I encourage people is to have a first 100-day plan. You know, think about role expectations, be clear about what's expected of you. Think about the network, who are your key stakeholders that you need to work with in order to be successful. Ask the question. And okay. So that's, I think you still remember, right? Uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, and hopeful realism. Okay, let me just do that again. Share screen.
Yeah, I was just typing my comment to Julie.
So in my excitement, yes. So this is a really good graph to think about as you begin, yeah. And so these are the 3 phases, and it's like, what, you know, get a chance to really encourage you to think about, you know, expect the uninformed optimism and find someone to talk to, you know, get support for the transition. So in these 3 phases, actually, I do have a summary for you to, like, a takeaway. Okay, so there are a couple of questions that you can think about. Yeah, like, what's ending for you? What will you let go of? So some of you may think you're in a neutral zone, but think about, you know, perhaps, you know, like, what do you really need to let go of? Maybe it's your identity, you know, that you've been so identified with your previous role that you're not letting go of that. And sometimes that can prevent you from moving forward. So I often like to use this analogy of Tarzan, you know, like Tarzan, right? Swing from tree to tree. If he just hold on to one of the vine and never let go, he will not be able to move forward, you know. So if you want to be Tarzan and swinging through your career, you need to let go. And so you can reach out, okay? You can reach out to new skills. You can reach out to new network, yeah. And in the neutral zone, it's like really taking stock of your interests, your passion, what you want to do to learn and explore. Like what Jasmine said, like, wow, really unlearn and relearn. Yeah. And I think one of the things about neutral zone is also think about what temporary arrangements, so that, you know, as you're in transition, you want to make sure that you have some kind of structure as well to tide you through this period of time. Yeah. So that there's a kind of a rhythm that can help you to go through this particular phase. Yeah. And new beginnings, your first 100-day plan, your strategy for uninformed optimism, and celebrate. You know, what will you celebrate? Your new beginnings. Okay. So that's kind of the end of the talk. And I want to wish you insightful, courageous endings. You know, and, you know, possibilities filled neutral zone that you are in, and fabulous new beginning. So wish you that, and really have a really, really good career ahead of you. Yeah.
Wow. Look at that. Just look at it. This is so
Okay,
cool.
let me stop share.
This is so cool. Yeah, lots of sharing. And I know she has a mind map. She has a mind map of all that she has shared.
Yeah.
Very, very nice. This is kind of how she doodle as you talk, and then she gives you a visual. So thank you so much, Linda. So happy that you have shared this innovative way and of presenting. And also, this is really her style. So demonstrate your style. Do like what Linda does, showcase your strength in every single opportunity that you get. But I really like the question that Linda posed earlier on, which was, where does confidence come from? I think this question alone is going to answer many questions, many other concerns rather. With regards to, like, as you show up for interviews, I think I hear lots of people telling me or telling us or sharing with us that you've got the nerves, right? The jitters before the interview and stuff like that. And I see how this question is so apt, like, where does confidence come from? And it's going to be very different for all of us, isn't it, Linda? Yeah. So different for every individual. For some of us, it comes from knowledge. Some of us, it's just the fact that you have an opportunity to show up for the interview. It could be that. There's so many, yeah, many areas. And I also like what Linda has also shared on the second point. I'm sure all of us have got our own takeaway. That's something that, as an executive coach, that's what we learn. We'll pretty much put out our wares. We'll share everything with you, but everybody will take away a piece of something, and we don't know what that piece of something is. But I like the second quote that Linda has also mentioned. I don't know if you agree with me, but she said every strength casts a shadow.